think that prayer, some people think, at least in my community, they think that prayer is asking God for stuff. And they're like, God didn't answer my question last week or last Yom Kippur.
It's very mature.
Why do I need to ask him again? And if God is unable to fulfill my request, or if he has amnesia and he forgot what I asked him, then that's not the kind of God that I want to worship. But far, far from asking God for stuff. Prayer is a calibration
of consciousness.
It's about being able to calibrate to just like you service your car, which is on the road for 6 months or 15,000, 5,000 miles, whatever it is, to be able to balance. When we need to calibrate the light that we see with our heart versus the darkness that we see with our eyes, to be able to experience a state of equilibrium, of peace, that happens through the affirmations of prayer, and even more important, through the meditations that come before that. When I put on my talis, and I'm in my talis and tefillin, and I'm devoted to my prayers, and I'm working my way through my prayers, I'm having a deep, intense, inner emotional experience, so that by the time I'm done, I've reached a state where happiness is not a result of my circumstances. Happiness is the cause of my circumstances. Because a lot of people make the mistake to think that happiness is the result of success. Chassidus teaches us that happiness is the cause of success.
Right. See, Rabbi Nachman mirrors that line. He says that not all successful people are happy, but all happy people are successful.
Beautiful. I love that.
Yeah, the same concept of that. So in particular prayer, what I get out of it is, number one, I get to let go. I get to express what's happening. I get to express. Second, there's actually even in the prayer books, there's affirmations. The person who surrounds it with mercy, he will be blessed. Faith is the cause of all blessings. So as long as if you're understanding those words themselves should actually, it would be the same thing as a team going into, a team's getting blown out by, let's say, 10 points in basketball, and they go into a huddle, and then they're gonna, they make a plan, and they make a plan, and they're going to say, 1, 2, 3, let's go. We're going to win. That's prayer, by the way. You're telling your subconscious, you're encouraging yourself.
So there's a member of our community, Israeli family, he tells me at the Kiddush, he gets up and he's celebrating his 20th anniversary. So somebody says, why did you say that you love your wife? He says, I told my wife at the wedding that I love her. If anything changed, I'll let you know. Right. That, of course, is not a strategy. You got to be able to reaffirm that love despite the challenges that you face. And that's what prayer is that, in the past 24 hours, I've experienced great challenges that I've not anticipated. I need to regroup again. I know we made a strategy on the football field an hour ago, but now that we see what the other team is doing, we've got to be able to calibrate and modify the plan. That's why you need to pray not once a day, but 3 times a day. You got to check in every 6 hours or so to be able to identify, because life is that tough. Right. Life is that rough, to be able to know that you got to constantly have your finger on the ball to make sure that you're in control and that you know where you're going, instead of being a passive victim to what happens to you. You got to remember the power that you harbor here within the most precious piece of real estate on planet Earth. It's right here, and it's right here, because when you're in control over here, you're a golden man. It's a beautiful story. The Alter Rebbe, the author of the Tanya, when he was running away from Napoleon, he was in a village in Vienna in 1812, December of 1812, and he was very ill. In the room with him was his grandson, the Tzemach Tzedek, the third Chabad Rebbe, future Rebbe. And the Alter Rebbe noticed that the Tzemach Tzedek was after Shabbos, he was davening Ma'ariv with a very melancholy tune. After he was finished, the Alter Rebbe turned to him and he said, you should never do that again. You should never do that again. Because when you pray with melancholy, what do you think you're drawing upon yourself?
Wow.
Minutes later, the Alter Rebbe closed his eyes and he passed away. His holy soul restored back to his maker on October 7th, when I walked into Shul this past October 7th. On the way to Shul, we knew nothing. So a non-Jewish lady, stopped me in the street. She saw me. I was working with my father, a rabbi, right? She could tell that we're Jewish. She said, God bless you. God bless the people of Israel. She said, you won the war in 1948. You won the war in 1967. And you'll win this one too. Now, we had no clue what she was talking about. We were like, thank you, ma'am. God bless you too. We walk into shul and people are telling us hostages, tanks, invasion, war. Nobody knows what's going on. And we had to make an executive decision. How do you react? You can't talk to your colleagues. You don't know what's going on. On the spur of the moment, it was Simchas Torah morning. Shmini Atzeres was, right? We turned, I stood up on the beam and I said, folks, our hearts are broken, but we have to implement the teaching of the Zohar. There's joy in my heart on this side, and there's tears in my heart on that side. We cannot fall prey. We cannot fall victim to the circumstances around us, because it's the joy that we exude that will actually aid our brethren in the land of Israel to allow them to move their way towards victory. Instead of reacting with canceling akafot, instead of reacting with tears, instead of joy, we needed to be proactive with our joy, because our emotional state of being is what initiates Hashem's reciprocal response.